Billy Coleman hired the ex-Bertie Fisher Opel Ascona 400 for the 1983 Rally of the Lakes, few people could imagine that Coleman's comeback to the Irish rallying scene would be anything like as successful as it has been in 1984. After his win on the 1983 Rally of the Lakes, Billy was given a drive with the dealer Opel Team Ireland Manta 400, prepared and maintained by Sidney Meek and co-driven by Ronan Morgan. The Galway International in February was his first outing in the left-hand drive car. After pulling out a big lead, he was slowed by mechanical problems late on Saturday and eventually finished second behind an on-form Brendan Fagan. The Rutland Circuit of Ireland in April, and Coleman was back to his brilliant best. His tactics, to stay as close as possible to the leaders, but still try and conserve the car, proved to be 100% correct. As leader after leader fell by the wayside, Coleman brought the Manta back to Belfast City Hall for his third circuit victory. An all-star line-up assembled in Letterkenny in June for the Shell Isles Donegal International. And after 3 days of the best rallying seen in Ireland for many a day, it was Coleman who again emerged victorious. In the Ulster Rented Truck International in July, Coleman finished fifth, having had a frustrating rally due to mechanical problems. Back in home territory in October for the Uniral Cork 20, and again Coleman completed his hat-trick of international wins, securing the STP Irish Tarmac title for 1984. A win in the final round of the championship would really be the icing on the cake. So, had he any special strategy to achieve this?
I have no strategy in my mind. I'll just drive as hard as I can, and bearing in mind that the road is very slippery this morning, and try not to let it fall off the road mainly anyway, and play it by ear then after that.
From the 1984 Carrignavar International Rally of the Lakes is on. Can I call it now car number 2, Austin McHale and 50 barrels from Dublin.
Austin, you're seated at number 2. What are going to be your tactics to stay in front of Billy over the next 2 days?
I will have to get in front of him first to try and stay in front of him. Obviously Billy's at home territory here again after Cork. It'll be very hard to beat here, but we'll definitely do our best to try and beat him.
Brendan, you weren't feeling the best last night with the flu. How do you feel this morning?
I feel a bit better. I had a little beverage last night before I went to bed, and it helped me along.
And back to today's proceedings, what are going to be your tactics?
Well, I'm down to try and finish second in the Tarmac Championship, and I'm just going to play myself in for a while and see how quick everybody else is going.
Well, we'll be seeing you during the weekend. Good luck, lads. Cheers. Bye-bye. We have a Belgian competitor, the Rally of the Lakes. Welcome, Paul Lisa.
For me, it's a new rally. It's the first time that we drive here in Ireland.
Coleman and McHale.
No, we're looking out. We wait for looking the time of the other competitions.
Now, next we have Manny and Brian Curtin.
As Billy Coleman and Ronan Morgan blasted the Manta through the first special stage, Danesfort, Austin McHale in the Indy Tea sponsor car is determined that the Mill Street farmer is not going to have it all his own way. Fagan was hoping for a top 3 finish and end the season as runners-up in the Tarmac Championship. An interesting entry was the Talbot Sunbeam Lotus of Belgian Paul Later at number 4. After a 7 months layoff, Frank O'Mahony and Brian Curtin start the event seated at 6. Next came Letterkenny's James Cullen, co-driven by Seamus Gormley in their Escort RS 1800. The top local entry was Pat Murphy in the Vauxhall, who had a new engine fitted for the event. Followed by Seamus Burke in the 2.2 litre Escort. Dan Daly and Benny Smith started at number 12 in the Nissan. Didn't have a short rally and crashed out of the event at the end of this, the first special stage, damaging the offside front of his beautifully prepared Sunbeam Lotus. Keith Edwards' Jaguar was not ready in time to start the event and borrowed Peter Rushford's Sunbeam before the start. The second Kerryman, the top Holden in the Tesco sponsored Escort. Jimmy Dean was having his second outing in the rear-wheel drive TB3 Escort. He was followed by Skibbereen's Gerard O'Brien, also in an escort. Con Warden, the Avenger, had local navigator Maurice Nagel in the left-hand seat. Rally of the Lakes for 1984 was held on Saturday the 8th and Sunday the 9th of December. And after the noon start from just outside rally headquarters, the Gleneagle Hotel, the rally headed east to the well-known stages of Danesfort and Gorton again. After a short service in Rathmore, they headed back to... These 4 stages made up the first leg of the rally. The organisers, the Killarney District Motor Club, under the direction of Clerk of the Course, Mike Marshall, had attracted a star-studded entry list of 100 cars. They also secured a new and enthusiastic sponsor, Carling Lager, who put a great deal of time, effort and money into the rally, and their ultra-professional approach helped enormously in making the event the success it turned out to be. Coleman chose intermediate tyres, and after 2 stages was already 28 seconds ahead of Austin McHale, who found his dry weather slick tyres totally unsuited for the damp and slippery conditions. Paul Litter was proving to be a sensation on his first Irish tarmac event, was 7th overall. A serious engine misfire was hampering Murphy's challenge in the Vauxhall. Keith Edwards was having a steady drive, but sadly crashed out of the event early on day 1. Stage 3, Borry Cross, and a huge crowd watch as Coleman powers the Manta through Gleneagle village. He and teammate McHale set joint fastest times, 5 minutes 59 seconds over the 7.6 stage miles. Fagan's Vauxhall was very sick and retired soon afterwards when the Chevette's carburetors caught fire. While Paul later was having his own way of moving the astonished spectators. Cullen was 7th, but had damaged the escort's front in a collision with a spectator's car in Rathmore village. Seamus Burke was 3rd in the ex-John Burns escort. A.J. Keating was 4th overall in his escort. Frank O'Mahony had a puncture on the 2nd stage and had to stop to change the wheel. Midstreet's John Moynihan broadsides the escort around the corner in spectacular style. Pat White had hired the Auto2 Nissan 240 RS for the event, but he dropped 6 minutes on stage 2 with a puncture. He was finding the steering of the new car a little bit difficult to get used to. Barry Duggan had Philip Moynihan, brother of John Moynihan, driving car number 22 in the left-hand seat. Starting the second leg of the rally, the leaderboard was as follows. Billy Coleman, 38 minutes, 17 seconds. Austin McHale, 38 minutes, 51 seconds. Seamus Burke, 39 minutes, 54 seconds. A.J. Keating, 40 minutes, 11 seconds. James Cullen, 40 minutes, 51 seconds. Paul Later, 41 minutes, 33 seconds. As the rally moves south over Moll's Gap, Coleman continues to extend his lead over McHale, who was using a totally unsuitable rear axle for the Kerry stages and could not match the top speed of Coleman's car. After Moll's Gap, which incidentally was used 4 times in all during the event, the rally took in the classic stages of Ballochbema, Carroll Lake, Churchtown, Liberty Hall and Moll's Gap, which was run in reverse direction. The latter 4 being ran in total darkness. extended his lead by another 43 seconds on McHale over the Carra Lake stage, when the Rat Coleman chose intermediate tyres, but the stage was powder dry. But sensationally, on the next stage, Churchtown, McHale inherited the lead when Coleman had to drive all of the stage with a punctured wheel, dropping to over 2 minutes in the process. He trailed teammate McHale by 33 seconds at the Gate Carney's Cottage service area. AJ Keating retired the escort later in the evening with faulty electrics. Also out was Frank O'Mahony's Vauxhall with a broken half shaft. Con Ward and Maurice Nagel, after a spirited drive, were forced to retire with a blown clutch, but would be seen later competing in the Sunday run. Pat White's tale of woe continued when his service crew put the Autotune service barge off the road into a field. Dennis Cronin finished 14th in the 1983, expected to make his mark over the Sunday stages, while Con Randalls was setting some very fast stage times in the Datsun. Billy, you were extending your lead over Austin McHale until the last stage. What happened?
Well, we had a puncture for the whole stage, but the tyre went down, must have been between the stages, you know, because it was gone from the minute I started the stage, so we drove the whole stage on the flat. I think we lost 2 or 3 minutes.
Now, with stages now like Moll's Gap to come up, do you think it's possible to pull back the lead and be leading again in Killarney?
Oh, well, there's a big day's rallying tomorrow as well, so you know, all isn't lost. It's a bit of a setback. We have to try and put on the pressure now again.
But if a few more night stages to go and you prove to be very, very fast on night driving on the circuit, do you think you'll be able to extend your lead on Billy at the moment?
It's very hard to know, you know, it's very hard to extend a lead on Billy down here to take time off him because he's on home territory. He knows the stages, he's done them for the last an awful lot of years, and this is my second year doing a rally in Killarney, so I don't really know the stage as well as he does, so it's practically impossible to take any time off him.
Paul, what can you tell us about the event so far? Are you enjoying yourself?
Yes, the stages on the day we drive very good, but now on the evening we know not good the road, and that's the problem that we are a little bit we lose about the time, yes, on the evening.
But with the night stages coming up, you have another 3 to go. Are you very familiar with night driving?
I am night driving, but we know not the road, and that's the problem that we lose the time now on the last stages.
But we hope that everything goes for you tonight. Thanks very much, Paul.
Okay, thank you.
James Cullen, as usual, you're giving the spectators a thrill a minute, but you've had some problems, I gather.
We're going into this first service area today. We're coming up the main street, and a girl in a money pole stood across the road in front of us, and we had her head on. And we dropped a bit of time. We busted the radiator and damaged the front quite extensively, so we've been trying to sort it out bit by bit since.
When I was talking to you earlier on today, you said you were slightly worried that your engine was overheating. Have you that sorted out now?
We just got the car finished on the Wednesday night before the rally and brought the car down, and it's just been completely rebuilt. And we were a wee bit afraid in the early stages that when it was overheating that the engine would be a bit tight yet, you know, so we backed off a wee bit until it started to self out.
Starting the final 2 stages on Saturday, the top 6 overall was McHale, 86 minutes, 27 seconds, Coleman, 87 minutes, Cullen, 90 minutes, 23 seconds, Burke, 91 minutes, 50 seconds, Letar, 93 minutes, 42 seconds, Moynihan, 95 minutes, 16 seconds. 9 a.m. Sunday morning, and Coleman is back again in the lead, after setting a blistering pace over the final 2 night stages on Saturday, taking 23 seconds back from McHale over Liberty Hall. McHale had practically no breaks over Moll's Gap on Saturday night, and was actually passed by Coleman, dropping a further 33 seconds, giving the Mill Street farmer a lead of 14 seconds on Sunday morning. Seamus Burke was 4th, but co-driver Dave Stone was feeling miserable, having fractured his finger in the car door earlier on. 3rd place man Cullen now had a stable engine temperature and extends his 3rd place buffer by a further 6 seconds. Paul Later, who was amazing everybody with his rapid burst of speed, slowed somewhat over the night stages, but was happy now again in daylight, was lying 5th overall. John and Willie Moynihan were in 6th place, but were now under tremendous pressure from Barry Duggan. In fact, only 13 seconds separated the 2 Mill Street drivers at this point in time. Pat Murphy had finally traced the Vauxhall's misfire to faulty electrics, and with Circuit of Kerry, clerk of the course JP Brick calling the notes, was now set to make his charge up the leaderboard. Joni Horan was 9th, who had just 2 seconds on hand over 10th place man Rossa McCusker in the Sunbeam. While a hard-charging English visitor, Dennis Turner, was after getting by Martin Daly a little earlier on in the stage. Dennis Cronin is in a big hurry to get by, and does just that right in front of our camera. Pat White was hoping for a better luck on Sunday in the hired Nissan. Sean O'Mahony and Brendan Cronin were giving all they'd got and were challenging strong for Class 3 honours. The Sunday run consisted of 11 stages, including the well-known stages in the Beara Peninsula, and also taking in such classics as Mull's Gap, Borland, Glengariff Wood and the Healy Pass. The day was dry and sunny, and the thousands of spectators were in for a real treat. Hale sets a cracking pace over the early Sunday stages, the Dubliner being the fastest over the first 4. Seamus Burke crashed out of the event early on Sunday, easing the pressure somewhat off Cullen. Later was now 4th. John Moynihan was in 7th place. He had been passed by Pat Murphy, who was now 6th. Barry Duggan was up to 5th. Dan Daly was slowed by a slipping clutch and lying just outside the top 10. Despite a faulty alternator, Rossa McCusker was 8th. Jimmy Dean was coming to grips with the rear-wheel drive Escort, was 12th overall. While Group A leader Martin Grandin had an anxious moment on Saturday night when his driver's seat came adrift on the Carroll Lake stage. The tight and twisty stages were ideally suited to McHale's style of driving, and now he led teammate Coleman by 10 seconds. But Coleman's tactics of taking it easy over the narrow and bumpy early stages was about to pay off. Cullen, despite an intensive practice, decided he did not like pace notes and drove on the blind. It was as spectacular as ever. Pat Murphy was surprising everybody with his amazing. Young John Moynihan was still giving 100% and putting the pressure on his more distinguished rivals. Barry Duggan's 5th place ensured that 3 Mill Street drivers were lying in the top 7 places. But McHale's charge to the front almost ends in disaster when, after the flying finish of the Zetland Pier stage, the NDT Opel Manta clipped a rock and shot straight into a ditch, badly damaging the car, particularly the rear axle. No stage time was lost, but he incurred 60 seconds of road penalties. Coleman was now back in the lead by 50 seconds as the crews headed into Castletown Bear for service. Christy, you had been leading the event by about 10 seconds until that last stage. What exactly happened there?
Well, we finished the stage and we clipped a rock after the stage finished, so we dropped some time. We damaged the axle and we had to come back in here and change the axle now. We dropped some road time, so we were about 20 seconds ahead at the time. So with road time, Billy is back about 40 seconds in front again.
So other than the back axle, you changed that, I think, but any more problems after that crash?
Well, no problems that we're aware of at the moment, but we'll never know as you go out in the next stage.
Okay, thanks, Christy.
Thank you.
That's right, you're having your first outing in the Auto2 Nissan. How has it been for you?
Well, yesterday we spent most of the day getting used to it. We didn't like the steering very much. The car is good generally, but the steering gave us a lot of problems yesterday. This morning we had pretty good first two stages. Then we got a puncture again on the second one after, the one after Moss Gap. And we got 2 more punctures in the slight short one. And we had to rim the car with 2 wheels for 14 miles stage road miles.
And how much time do you reckon you have dropped in count of those punctures?
We've dropped about 1.5 minutes again. We dropped 6 minutes yesterday.
Okay, thanks, Pat.
Welcome.
Marie Maloney in the Opel Corsa. What can you tell us about the event so far?
Well, yesterday I thought it was bad until I saw today. The stages today are dreadful. They're really car breakers. They're terrible.
And were you able to afford much time to the making of pace notes before the event?
No, unfortunately not. I didn't get down until about 11 o'clock on Friday morning, so I only had that part of the day on Friday.
So it's blind for the most of the way as far as you're concerned?
Well, I saw most of yesterday's stages, but I didn't see any of today's stages, and I think I'm just as well off because I didn't know what I was letting myself in for.
Okay, Marie, thank you.
Thank you.
Sadly, Paul Leiter's brilliant and exciting drive is about to end on the roadside just outside Castletown Bear at the end of the Noctura stage, on which he had collected 3 punctures. By the time his service crew had arrived and got the Sunbeam mobile again, the Belgian was over max lateness and sadly out of the event. Stage 18, Healy Pass, and by now Coleman was extending his lead almost at will. Billy was now well on his way to his 4th international win of the year. McHale had by now given up all hope of overhauling Coleman, the Manta consuming engine oil at an alarming rate. 3rd place man Cullen was slowed by weakening rear springs, which allowed the axle to strike the floor pan, but he was determined to have a go at overhauling McHale for 2nd. Pat Murphy was giving all he'd got and was now breathing down Barry Duggan's neck. John Minan, with the retirement of Leiter, was now 6th, an unbelievable situation considering he was driving all the stages completely on the blind. Barry Duggan was under a lot of pressure from Murphy's Vauxhall for 4th place. Martin Grant, but he had to retire on the 2nd last stage, Barlin, with a broken gearbox. Jimmy Dean and Dermot Casey were now 8th. Dan Daly in the Nissan Violet GT was 9th. Ian Fitzgibbon's Escort finished 3rd in Class 8. John Venier was 11th overall and 2nd in Class 4. Martin Daly finished 2nd in Class 8 and 12th overall. The winner of Group N and 13th overall was Ginny Burrell in the Peugeot GTI. Dennis Turner was 4th in Class 13. Class 12 was won by Alistair Inglis in the Nissan, while Class 4 was won by Pat O'Callaghan. 4th in that class was Brian Curry. Con Randalls was 2nd in Class 12 despite dropping a lot of time on Moll's Gap with a broken petrol pipe on Sunday morning. Joe Butler was 14th overall and 3rd in Class 4. Class 2 was won by Pat and Oliver Kiley, while Kieran McAlennan and Brian Quinn won Class 14. 2nd in Class 3 was Sean O'Mahony. 2nd in Class 6 was Thomas O'Brien. Best Welsh crew and Class 6 winners were Phil Rees and David Lawrence. Con Ward and Maurice Nagel were the winners of the Sunday run. Class 11 was won by John Minan and Jerry Fitzgerald. Harry Delan finished 3rd in Class 6. 6th in Class 12 was Michael Sheehy. 3rd in that class was Tom Randalls. The Ladies Award and 2nd in Class 2 went to Mary Maloney. This Kerry stone wall remains standing despite John Shine's best efforts to demolish it. has been a Cork Video Services production, produced and directed by Flor Griffin, commentary by Michael White, music by John Reedy. Before we have our final look at the top 10 finishers and hear the comments of the top 5 drivers, we would like to thank the following for their assistance in the making of this film. The Killarney and District Motor Club, in particular Clock of the Course, Mike Marshall, Paddy Flynn, Con Randalls, Maurice O'Donoghue, Morris and Angela Nagel, and of course the main sponsors, Carrignavar. As this is our last production of the season, a special word of thanks to Brian and Liz Patterson, and of course the drivers. So to the top 10 in the 1984 Carling Rally of the Lakes. In 10th place was the Escort RS2000 of Pat O'Callaghan and Brian Murphy. They also went on to win Group A after their main rival, Rossa McCusker, was slowed by a blown head gasket. Dan Daly's co-driver Benny Smith was feeling miserable all day on Saturday with a severe bout of the flu. He was much improved on Sunday, and when they got their act together, they made a charge up the leaderboard to finish an excellent 9th overall and the leading North of Ireland crew. Jimmy Dean brought the rear-wheel drive Escort TB3 home in 8th place. It was only his second outing in the car, and after a rather hesitant start, proved that both he and the new car are definitely a winning combination. Alistair Inglis and Graham Cate, who set some very fast stage times on Sunday, finished 7th overall. They also took the award for being the best Scottish crew. John and Willie Moynihan proved to be the sensation of the rally with his sideways style of driving. Despite not having used pace notes and had little knowledge of the Sunday stages, he finished an amazing 6th overall. What a promising future must lay ahead for this young Mill Street man. Barry Duggan finished 5th, having been overtaken for 4th place by Pat Murphy on the last stage of the rally. Had Sunday been to his liking?
Today was quite a dramatic day, Mick. It was a day which was hard to gauge, really, you know. It was hard to know what to do. Just went well, you know. Kind of got into the groove early on the day and just kept it in, you know. Felt very well, felt confident at all times.
You had a thrilling duel yesterday with John Moynihan. What about Philip, that was your navigator? What was he saying about it?
His loyalties were divided, Mick, you know, but in fairness, he mucked in with the Duggans against the Moynahans for today, you know. But we're all one big happy family anyway, you know, and once we can keep it in Mill Street, that's what we want, you know. The tradition is there.
And what about celebrations tonight? Have you anything organised?
Oh, we'll be in the Glen Eagle and we won't be home early.
I might join you, Barry. Thank you very much.
Thanks, lads. Thanks.
Was Pat Murphy surprised to finish 4th?
Well, is that right, yeah. I had some face problems yesterday. I'm missing for all the stages yesterday and no clutch stream for the last 3 stages. So it's a big change around the right this morning. We got everything started this morning, alright. The car went very well today. So did a great run, better than expected anyway.
There was a very, very serious misfire yesterday. Did you trace this morning? What was really causing that?
We did get to the electrical problems we had. And just quite out running in 3 cylinders yesterday, all day. So then go up to about 5,000 revs instead of about 8,000 revs. We were about half power, so we were like. So we got that started this morning, made a big difference either, because we were 37 seconds faster in Mosgap this morning going up than yesterday. So it made all the difference, get a bit of power back again.
Great stuff, Pat. Thanks very much.
Okay, thanks very much. Yeah.
James Cullen had been the discovery of the year. Had he hoped to finish 3rd?
We're a wee bit surprised Robert Farr's 3rd with the fact that we're not using notes and everyone else on notes and the original entry that started the event, you know. We're very, very pleased to be where we are.
And you had no problems at all today?
We had a lot of problems this evening. Now the back shocks and springs were gone in the car, and so lying down in the body, and the prop shaft was catching on the body as it was going round, so we had to ease off a terrible lot in the last 4 or 5.
And only for that, do you think it would be possible to catch Austin McHale?
I would say we would have got him, because he had far bigger trouble than we had, and he had to really, really slow down, you know. And but I'm glad to see that he finished, because he still deserves the second place.
And what about next year?
I will have to wait and see.
Okay, fair comment, James. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Austin McHale had been a superstar all season, but was plagued by mechanical problems. Was he glad to finish second?
Yeah, we're happy to get back in second. We had a bit of a problem with the engine over the last 4 stages, and it was just a matter we couldn't rev over 3,000 revs. So we had something like 10 minutes to spare, so we just coasted back and tried to get the car to the finish, which we succeeded in doing.
But you were actually catching Billy when you went off first, weren't you?
Yeah, we caught Billy this morning, and someone was around 20 seconds ahead of him. We discovered yesterday, and
I think it's definitely going to be an Opel again for 1985.
Hopefully, yeah, we're very happy with the car. This is the first trouble, or the start was the only trouble that the car really let us down when the engine went. Other than that, I've let the car down.
I wouldn't agree with you there, Austin. I think you've had a fantastic year, and thanks very much.
Thank you.
What a year it has been for Billy Coleman, with a record 4 international wins and the STP Irish Tarmac Championship under his belt. His lead at the end of the Carrignavar Rally of the Lakes was over 8 minutes. Had it been as easy as his winning margin suggests?
Oh, not at all. This is one of the more dramatic events of the year. Started quite well, and we got about 1.5 minutes in the lead, and suddenly a puncture, and we were back 2 minutes or something. And then we got back in front, and Austin got going in and overhauled us again. So it was all drama. And of course he had an accident then, and what happened after that? I think he was still going quite well actually, and he had an engine problem, so it was all over. It was all over then.
Well, you said at the start of the year that 100,000 people asked you to make that comeback. Are you glad now?
I hope the people are glad anyway. There seems to be a great interest in the sport, and there's a big crowd here for the early December. It's amazing the number of people that were out, so I'm delighted for Carling and for all the sponsors involved. See all the people. Great weather, of course, as well, which helped.
And you're not prepared at the moment to leave us in at some of the secrets that you've planned for next year?
I have no secrets, but we should have an interesting plan for next year. We'll know in about a week anyway.
Will that involve many Irish Tarmac Championship rounds?
Well, hopefully. It's not really clear at the moment, but there'll be a couple anywhere, maybe 3. So as many as we can.
We hope, Billy, it'll be very much as successful as you've been this year. Thanks very much.
That's very much.